Hey, welcome to the How to Use the Net, Build a Business for Free course. I've solved the big problem for people who want to build something valuable online. This course will be a combination of several types of ideas, from technical to design to business. I'll explain each of these ideas as I go. I'm not going to focus on each one of them too much at one time. But in general, technical is all about building a website and various other systems based on the internet. Design is related to graphics, website layouts, fonts, and other aesthetic ways to influence. And business, overall strategies and a profit plan and an approach or a way of striving towards what you want to get. So sometimes business ideas are not something that you can explain step by step. I need to explain them in a way in which you need to strive towards them on a consistent basis. And I'll throw those ideas in as I go. So it'll give you a better chance to succeed with your project. The main issue a lot of people have is they focus way too much on technical and design and aren't really leveraging the business aspects. It could give them the most ways to succeed. So I want to combine all three so you can get the best chance for success. The main idea behind this course is that it can be followed without investing much money. The idea is that you should be able to learn to make some profits before you need to invest your money. You may need to invest a little money, but overall this course is designed to let you get started without much investment at all. The idea is to learn the skills and learn a way to make a profit, so when it comes time to grow or ramp up your operation, you'll be able to invest into it from your profits. I'll be using the same tools that I'm describing in this course to build and deliver this course, except for maybe the video processing program which I use, which is called Sony Vegas. Everything else is designed to allow you to do the exact same thing. This will not be a purely step-by-step course. To learn to make profits depends a lot on you. So you can show someone steps, but there's still a lot more to the formula to allow a successful business to be created. It's important that you have a natural drive or you're striving to reach something, even though you don't know how exactly or when exactly you'll get there. The point is the experiential knowledge you'll gain will reinforce what you've learned and give you real-life insights, which then lead to success. I'll do my best to get you going in the right direction. To get started, you'll need a minimum of a few things, including a PC computer. You could use a Mac, but I won't be able to answer all the questions about it. An internet connection, and optionally, but very important, a good microphone and webcam. The idea behind this program is to deliver high quality content, including the presentation. So HG quality is very important, and very good sound is important. Now, these don't have to be expensive, but they are important, so it's good to realize that in the beginning. I'll start by laying down the guidelines that I'm working by to make all this happen. Certain business concepts that I believe are needed for this to work are to have a unique, interesting persona. That is a starting point which can give you attraction power over all the people who are trying to attract attention using purely tactical and mechanical or statistical type methods, trying to just interrupt people without a natural attraction power of human to human. So this is a key point which could be easily missed, but it's crucial, and I want to show you how to do it. It doesn't have to be that hard, because everyone has a personality, and you just need to think about all this in the right way. It doesn't have to be a huge undertaking. You can work at it little by little and improve all your skills. It's important that the presentations are high quality, HD quality, and good sound. Without these, it's easy for people to lose their attention and not really want to follow what you're talking about. It's important to think about what you're producing as something that would be on a big screen TV, as someone is clicking through YouTube videos, because more and more people aren't viewing them at a desktop computer. It's becoming more integrated into other types of systems. That's one of the key points for HD quality. And also YouTube, to promote it and want people to view it, is if it is of the higher standard. It's important to have effective design with good images, colors, and fonts. The idea or the goal is to create an entire experience which doesn't break down due to too much amateurish production. It can still be casual and have an amateur production value, but the point is it should have some kind of edge to it, even if it is kind of more underground. It has to be more than just someone who didn't prepare very much and just kind of winged it out without much thought. Although it is possible to create good content that way, the goal here is to stick to a certain standard or what you're really about, and then stay with that. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should strive for high quality. Also, a realistic business vision is really important. I'll try to share some important ideas as I go, so you can start to integrate that into how you look at things and how you envision your business. So a lot of people use types of internet tricks and tactics. The problem with these is they're easily copied. And if you're competing at the exact same level as everyone else, you can become irrelevant quickly. So the point is to create a unique strategy for yourself and create what's called a barrier to entry, that you're not easily copied. So I'll explain more about that later. I'll just going over the points now. If you're not exactly sure how to do all this, don't worry about that. I'll show you exactly how I do everything. I'll start from the beginning, and so can you. On the internet, people may have built up unrealistic expectations about what business is. I want to help change that. Remember, everything about this course is built on the same principles that I'm using to build this course. I can show you exactly how I build everything and how I do it for free. In the beginning, the only recommended purchase is an internet domain. In case you're not sure what an internet domain is, all it is just the name with a .com. It could be something else, but it's highly recommended you find a unique name with .com. They are only about $9 a year. Could be a little more or a little less. And I can help you decide on a name, since a lot of names are already taken. But I found that with a little creative thought, you can get a unique name which matches what you're all about, and yet still is not overly used on some of the social media platforms, so that you can match your ID or your screen name to all your accounts. You can get by without using a domain, although it can affect your credibility because there's a little bit more trust involved when there's a domain versus a freely available account, which anyone can build like hundreds of them. Not everyone can afford to pay for hundreds of domains though, because with a domain, it shows you aren't as much of a here today, gone tomorrow kind of person. So buying that domain is a great step into building your foundation for your business. One of the first free things that you'll need to get started is a Google Gmail account. Now, a Google Gmail account can include many other services that we'll be using. So it may be presentation, drawing, and other functions. It's good to create a brand new Gmail account and try to get an ID which is not overly used so you can match the theme of your business. It doesn't have to be exact, but it should be close so you can match the branding on all your sites that you would have related to your business. So that would include domain and Twitter, YouTube, and a few others. Another program which is highly recommended is a program called GIMP, which is an image manipulation program. This program is called open source, which means it's free to use. There's no commercial pricing on it. And you can run it on various platforms, various computers, including PC, Mac, and a few others. So it's not the easiest to use, but it's highly recommended because it's very powerful. And there's only some simple things that I'm going to recommend that you do. So I think you can follow through and just do the initial steps without having to worry about all the complicated features that GIMP has. So I'll try to go through a few things that might catch you off guard, which have caught me off guard. But just to tell you in the beginning, it's just for about a minute. It can save you some headache later on. But after that, it's just get in, make the image, and exit the program and move on with the next steps. So the steps I'm going to go over in the remainder of this video are as follows. I'm going to talk about setting up a Blogger blog and using an optional domain. I'm going to also talk about how you can improve your presentation with free Google Fonts. And I'll show you how to create a gradient background for presentations using GIMP. I'll also show you a little bit about the Google Drive presentation tool, and we're going to import a background in to get started creating high definition presentations. So that's the end of my explanation. The rest of the video is just me taking screenshots of me going through some of these system setups. I'm just doing some basic setups, and if you like this video, let me know in the comments or go to my website, and I'll be creating more videos to go along with this plan. So I hope you enjoy it, and good luck. Okay, to get started, the first thing you want to do is create a Google account. You can get there by just typing gmail.com, and you should get this screen here. And then just click down here and create an account. Now, even if you already have an account, you may want to create a new one, because you can kind of brand the name, and that will it will match your project that you're working on. Now, here you can type in a name and it will tell you if it's already taken. The idea is to enter a name which is descriptive, but is not too cryptic, like with numbers and odd letters at the end of it. So I just chose an example, like if you wanted to type dog houses, it says it's already taken. So just as a descriptive word, we could type ultimate dog houses, and it allows you, it goes on to the password. So it's available. Now, a good check to help your branding for later is to also check if this is available on YouTube and Twitter. Now, you can't know for sure unless you start building an account, and I can show you that another time. A quick check is just to see if it's available. So if you just type the name at the end, it doesn't confirm it, but it says it's not found, so that's a good start. It doesn't mean it's available for you. So the other thing about Twitter is you could try the same thing with Twitter, but it only allows you 15 characters to create your name, and this is like 17 characters. So sometimes you have to chop a few letters off or use a slightly different word. So once you create your Gmail account, you're going to get access to a lot of tools that we want to start using. I won't go into all the details of that. If you try it and you can't figure it out, you can contact me through my website or through the comments at the end of this video, and just tell me that you're having problems following the steps. Everything works out, then we'll just assume that you can move forward. So we create the Google account, and then I'll show you everything to do from there. Once you log into your Gmail account, you're going to have access to a lot of tools here, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview. I mean, you're going to be in Mail first, but you use this icon here to show you all the other Google apps. So the main one that we're going to be using to launch a business is located in Google Drive. So if you click on Google Drive, you're going to see a whole list of well, it may be empty at first, but basically it will be a list of documents once you have a few out there. And you're going to have the option to create various kinds of documents. So it's similar to other types of Office Suite software. You have document, presentation, spreadsheet, form, and drawing. So to build a business, the most crucial ones, I believe, for an internet presentation are the presentation tool and the drawing tool, which I'll show you some other time. But to get started, we want to create a presentation, and then the first thing you do is you can select a theme, but it's not crucial right now, and just give it a name. You click up there and you just give it some kind of name, like whatever you want. Test Demo 1. So now it has a name. And what I recommend next is the size. Now you can create a custom size in pixels by going, basically you go File, Page Setup, then Custom, and then change this to pixels. Now everything should be in HD, so without getting too large, the best size for HD is 1280 by 720. So now it has the format, and Google Docs always saves everything for you automatically. To keep a professional appearance, the first step was to make the resolution the HD resolution. The second step is to give it a good background. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how to create a nice background using a free tool called GIMP. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is downloading and running a program called GIMP, which is an image manipulation program. And it's totally free. It's something called open source, which makes it free indefinitely. So when you go to gimp.org and then you go to download Windows version. So everything on this page is for Windows. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is download GIMP. I believe it runs on Mac and PC, although I won't be able to show you any download links for Mac since I believe it automatically detects what machine you're running. So when I hit download, all I see is for Windows downloads. So what you do is you just click on this link here and you can download the executable file on your, and what you do is you just download it and you execute it, and it'll install GIMP on your PC. Now, once I run GIMP, I have to admit it is not necessarily the easiest program to learn, but what I'm going to do is just show you the minimum of what you need to know and just to get the job done, and you won't need to fuss with all these other functions. Okay, now I'm going to talk about a program called GIMP. I just made another video a few seconds ago, and I was trying to demonstrate something which can reduce a lot of frustration when starting to use this program. The main thing you need to know is that sometimes these window docs don't appear. So let's say you're running the program and then you realize not all the windows are running. You can bring them back by going Windows, Recently Closed Docs, and then click on each one of these, and they return. Now, to save you potential frustration if they don't appear, even if you do that, I had a problem with the toolbox not appearing, and it turned out that I had to create a new one. So I'll kind of show you how I went through that process. So there's these two tabs called Tool Options, and I put gradients in there. So what happened was I went to Windows, Dockable Docs, or no, I went to Windows and then Toolbox, and then this just appeared by itself. But then I have to put these parts back in. So for them to appear, I went to Dockable Docs, Tool Options, and then this appeared. And then what you do is you drag it by this tab here, and you have to look for the blue line. So it doesn't seem to work while I'm making the video, because I found that right down at the bottom here and right up at the top, or actually when you put the first one in, this whole area turns blue, and then you just let it go and it'll appear inside. Now I'm not able to record that, but once you add the first one in, then to bring the second one in, you can basically go Dockable Docs, and I had gradients in there, and then I just drag that. Now it's a little different because right around the top and right down here at the bottom, a blue line would appear, and that's when you let go and it'll go inside. So that's all I can tell you, the quick start. I'm going to stop the video, and then I'm going to put all this back together, and then we're going to start creating a gradient. Okay, so we're looking at GIMP, and it's 3 separate docs. What I want to show you how to do is create a gradient for your presentations. So the first thing I do is I just create a file, new. Now it does have some presets, but not the one we're looking for here. So we create a brand new one. So we type the HD resolution 1280 by 720. And I don't believe we need any of these, so we'll just say OK. So now it's basically showing you that resolution. So what we want to do next is go to the toolbox and hit this button, Blend Tool. And then what it'll show you is the gradient functions. Now, it's not the most intuitive thing, but all we want to do is create the gradient and move on. So what needs to happen is I need to create a brand new gradient. And the way I do that, if I'm looking at the gradients tab, and if you don't have it here, you can always bring it down by doing this, Windows, and then find gradients. And then at the bottom, you can create a new gradient. So what you do is you just type in test, or the name. Let's just say blue gradient. And this is editable. But basically what we want to do is change the colors. So you right mouse click on this area, and you can experiment and choose a starting and ending color. So usually I like blue, but you can choose anything that represents you. The idea is just to start somewhere, not to try to be perfect, but just to have a starting place that looks somewhat professional. So I did the left point, now I'm going to do the right point. And I can make that just a different shade of blue, maybe a little lighter perhaps. Let's see how that looks. So, I mean, doesn't matter exactly. There's so many ways you can go with this. In fact, you don't have to, you can choose different types. Now, once you create this gradient, you're not really done yet. What do you have to do? And you have your gradient selected. All you do is you go to your area here that you created and just create a line, and it fills it in. Now I'm going to hit a Control Z, or you can undo, and it'll just show you what else you can do. You can do it in different directions. And you can play around with it too. Like that was the radial gradient. So I can change that back, go back to linear. I'll Control Z back, and then it's just linear. But generally, this is professional. You don't need to get too picky. The idea is just create a background that has some colors that represent you and your project. Try to create a gradient so that it's professional. And then now when you save, you can save the project, save as, and then you have to dig down into these directories to find yours, and then you just give it a name. But the more important thing you need to do is to export it. So you export, then the type, it defaults to PNG, which is perfectly fine. And then you just type the name, background, and there you have it. So you save it or you export it, and then you will use it later. So make sure you save it in a place which you can remember, and then I'll take you on to the next step. Okay, so I exported my gradient, and actually there was a last dialog step there that I didn't get to show you, but I can show you again another time. I went back to Google Docs or Google Drive, and I sorted by most recent date so that I can see my most recent document, which was my test presentation I created. And it should still have the resolution that I created before. If I go to page setup, change it to pixels, it should be 1280 by 720. So what I want to do at this point is just import my background. So I have a slide here. I can right mouse click on this area and change background. And then I can choose the image and upload it Now I just have to find the image. Okay, I drilled down and found my documents. Now I had exported it, I just called it Blue Gradient. So I import it. Okay, so if you had several slides, you could hit this apply to all, but then just say done. So I have one slide. Now I can change the format or create a new slide with a different layout. What I usually do is just modify one and then duplicate it as I go. So if I just delete this, now the other thing I want to show you is how to add better fonts. If you highlight this, if you enter like some tests and then highlight it and you go to fonts, it'll show you a list of fonts. Now there's not that many here by standard, but if you go to the bottom there, it says more fonts. You can get access to all the free Google fonts out there, and there are a lot of them. I believe at least 500. Now, the best thing to do is to pick a good font for your project. Maybe one is the title, so you only use it as kind of like a logo, and then others are for like the titles in your blog or for the text. Now it's not worth getting too fancy here. I think your title can be unique, but once you have that, you want to stay with very readable fonts. So you don't need to vary too much from the standard. There's another way to find Google Fonts, and what I do is you can go to Google Fonts and basically there's like a way to find them based on characteristic. There's a few blog posts you can find through Google which give some recommended fonts. Also, another way I did it was if I go to Google and I say Google Fonts. Crazy. Like here's one that had the description crazy in it. So, or you could say formal, maybe. There's one. I don't know if that's the same one. You could say business. Here's one. I feel like the last few fonts are very similar. How about I typed fun once. So there we go. So you could use a descriptive word to try to find the font. Now, when we go to create a blog, I'm going to show you something that allows you to put one of these fonts in your blog. So the way we do that is within Google Fonts, you find the font, and then there's these buttons here. You would say use, and then you scroll down. Then you see this line. You're going to use that line within your blog, and then this line. So that way you don't have to download them. There is a way to download them to your PC if you're using another program. So these are all free and they're high quality. So it's really a good idea to use them. Not overuse them, but just use them enough to create a unique experience for people. So back to here, once you use a font once, it kind of remembers it and it puts it in your list. So let's just modify this a little bit. You can change the color, change the font to something different, change the size. So there's a lot of ways you can go with this. I'm not going to get too much detail about that. The idea is to make it look sharp, high resolution, good colors, good fonts. And once you have one slide that you've created, you can create a new slide with a new layout, but it will come up blank. So what I suggest is hit one that you created and hit duplicate. And then you can, let's see, you can change the layout that way. Now I'm going to hit undo. Or you can just modify it or add things like text box. There's image box. So there's a lot of things you can do here. There's even shapes. Now, it gives you a lot of flexibility. It's not perfect. It doesn't do everything. But for free, I think this, with a little creativity, you can create a nice presence for your project. So we have the background, we have the text, we have the fonts. So what you do is you create your presentation. Now I have a presentation that I made for this first video. And here it is. And once you have, like you can click the first one and then hit the down page key to go through them all. Once you have it all set up, now for this I use something called, I inserted word art, and it gives you a little more style than standard fonts. I was looking for a shadowing effect, which doesn't look like you can do unless you create an image. It doesn't, you can do it on your website with CSS, but you can't do it here. But that's okay. You just need enough to get by. Then what you can do is, once you're done with this, you can actually download it as a PDF. That's the best way to get everything out in one quick way. You can export each document, but it doesn't allow you to export all images. So that's a slight problem. But I have a way to create images from the PDF if you want to use them elsewhere. So that's all there is for this at the moment. In another video, we'll continue on to other steps. Okay, so now I'm going to discuss creating a quick blog. This blog is free and it does give you quite a bit of options. You don't own the location of it because it's on Google for free, but you can do a lot to make it look just like your website. And since we're talking about free, this is a good place to start. Now, what I do is I just log into my Gmail account and then I just type Blogger. Blogger.com. Now, I've created a couple of blogs here. Now, this one is just, I'm going to use it for this project. Now, all I did so far is I created a simple blog. I used the most basic theme. I set up so I can attach a domain to it, so it looks like a real website, although you can't get rid of this www. If I just type, now that stands for howtoUseTheNet.com. So if I type that, it automatically points to that, which is not a big issue. What I did is I imported a Google font to create this effect, and then I added a little CSS to give the shadowing. Now, I don't want to make this sound complicated. It's hard in a way because you have to wade through a lot of computer code to know the right place to put it. But I highly suggest that you do this to give a little more unique effect to your blog. Because once you have that, you don't have to look like everyone else's blog. Now it's very configurable. Okay, let's just go back. We'll go to Blogger. You can create a blog by hitting New Blog, and I'll just call it and then see if that exists. It's available. Then there's a lot more to choose from. This is just a starting point. I chose simple, create a blog. Now that name that I chose for the blog, you can make the same as the name you used for your Gmail account if you got a good name, similar to the Twitter one you want to use and the YouTube. It's good to keep that branding as similar as possible. And it is possible to find a very unique name. There's still a lot out there. If you just put the right combination of words, then you'll find it's not used anywhere, but it still sounds good. So if you need help with doing that, I could possibly assist if you contact me. Now, I just created the blog. If I view it, there's nothing there. It's just a standard text. So the next step, which is not the simplest thing, but I'll show you anyway so that you have a chance to just go ahead and do it. Well, the first approach to change that font you have is if you go to Template and then Customize, then hit Advanced, then scroll down here till you get to Blog Title. Then this highlights it in red to show that that's the thing you're changing. Then they give you these many fonts to choose from, which one of these may be fine for you. I believe it's not a bad idea to. A couple of these are extracted from the Google Fonts collection, but since a lot of people may use them already, you want to stand out as being a little more unique than just your standard run-of-the-mill blog. You can pick one of these if it really matches the feel that you want, and you can change like the boldness or the size. But to add a unique font, I'll show you how to do that. So instead of applying that to blog, I'll just try to back out of this, back to Blogger. Now it says Edit HTML. Now this is where you make two changes, and it doesn't have to be too difficult. If I can find that Google font that I found before, we can use this, they call it Happy Monkey. Now it might already be in the list. We can confirm that. I don't think it is. Okay, it's not. So let's say we want that as the title. Then I'll go back to templates, edit HTML. I'll go to the font. The first thing you do is you want to take this line. It says add it to your website. It's basically a header line. And you go here and you just look in the beginning for head, create a line. I copied it, now I paste it, Control V, and that line is in there. That's all I need. Now what I do next is I need to look for this this tag called b:"skin, and if you can't find it, you can hit Control F and just type like skin, and then it'll show you. So you hit that little arrow and it expands it out, and it shows you all kinds of text. So what you really want to do is go all the way to the bottom of that. So it shows that last tag there that you just opened. And what you do is you create a line there. And now the trick is to get the right tag. So it does take a little understanding, but I can just show you how I did it. There's this tag called header H1, which is the line which would change the header text. So I just highlighted it and copied it. Now I'm going to go back to the bottom, and I'm going to go create a line right before this tag. I'm going to paste it in, and then I'm going to remove everything inside of it. I didn't move it, I just copied it. So the original text is still there. Now I have it empty. I can go back to the Google Fonts sheet and take this font family and insert it in there. Now that should be it. Well, except for shadowing. Let me try to save it again. Oh, error parsing. Oh, I see. Let's try to look at this again. Link. Let's give it what it wants. I didn't run into this before. Let's try to view the blog. It worked. So as you can see, it's not the most straightforward thing, but it's worth doing. I didn't have to type that link, that following link, the last time I did it, so I'm not sure why it didn't work. Why it didn't work just this time. Now I can create a shadowing effect. Look for that tag, and then I put in it's called text shadow. So it's an offset horizontal, offset vertical, blurring. You can experiment with all of these. And then the color. So if you need help converting a color into hex, there's a lot of functions on the internet. Just type CSS colors and you can find a color. Now I'll just copy that and I'll go back to the other blogs. Edit this one. Scroll down to find this tag, and then just add this line right below the font family one. Save. go view the blog, and there it has some shadowing. So that's a nice, unique look for your blog. Now you could change the color of both the shadow or the text, or you can make it bold, just to fine-tune the look that you want. In fact, CSS gives you some other functions to make these letters closer or more far apart from each other. But just having that gives a little life to your blog. And that's where I wanted to start. So that's the end for this first module. I just want to get you started up and have a base in which to start building. Now, as far as the domain, that's a little more technical. All you have to do is ask me and I'll create a video with more details about it if you don't know already. But when you go to settings and you can define the domain. So there's no custom domain added here. So what you do is you type in the domain that you own. Let's just say it's startbiz.com. And then you just say save. And then it wants you to type www first. Then what it does is it gives you 2 lines that you need to add into your wherever you bought your domain in is called CNAME records. Now I use a domain registrar called oneandone.com, and I could show you how it's done. You have to add them in. Once you buy the domain, you have to add them into your CNAME records. So you can actually have use a different host for email and so on. You can even use a different host for the bare name without the www. But it's recommended that once you add this, it's going to give you a little checkbox asking if you want to route the bare domain to the www domain, which is usually what you want. So it does take some time. It's called propagation. Once you make the change to your domain, it could take a little time, but eventually it'll work. So you could either type in here, you could type in this into your browser, and it would automatically point back to this, or you could type either this by itself or the whole thing, and it would just show that name. So that's how I did this. It points to my blog. So if I type that, it'll route back to the domain. So that can become your website. Now, if you don't like this, you could actually remove it. I can remove these. I can either go to layout, or just, if I'm in edit mode already, I can remove that about me. You can even remove this. Actually, no, I think it always has to say powered by Blogger. Let's try it. Yeah, you can't fully remove that. So there is some evidence that you're on Blogger, but that's not a big deal. Let's try. You can type it like copyright information. So at this point, it's just a home base to get started, to build everything from. You can actually get rid of this line here. I'll show you how to do that. Layout. Nav bar, let's try that. Off. Save. Okay. So that looks pretty much like a regular website. You can even configure this stuff. So the only thing you can't change really is this. But you might be able to use CSS and hide it if you wanted to. So then it really looks like your website. So for free, that's not bad. And then there's a lot of configuring you could do to plan this out. Now, without getting too technical, the point is just have a home base, and we're going to start creating content through videos to show what you're about. You can use other types of content as well. But the idea is to get going as fast as possible, and YouTube is a great starting point. And I'll show you how I would do it, or how I would recommend you do it. So that's it for now. I'm going to combine all these lessons and put together a training video, and we'll take it from there. We'll see who wants to follow along to the next steps.